Rich Blackwood's younger brother was filming a reality dating show at the family estate. Somehow, I ended up as an accidental part of their experiment, the unwitting control, to this celebrity couple's staged romance. At first, the online world laughed at me. I was just the invisible wife, a dull backdrop to my husband's glamorous life. Rich was distant, his mother impossible, and I was a sideshow. Then, unexpectedly, the tone started to shift. Fans began tagging the producers. At showrunners, we need more of Rich and his wife. Millions of us are begging for more screen time. I live for catching even the tiniest glimpse of their moments together. My heart can't take this. I need more of the main couple immediately. Leo Blackwood's love life was the stuff of headlines, a whirlwind romance constantly dominating gossip columns and social media feeds. His girlfriend, Serafina Vance, was one of the most famous actresses of her generation. The notorious playboy seemed to be finally settling down. He spent weeks persuading his older brother, Rich, until finally, Rich agreed to let the show film at the historic Blackwood estate. Rich didn't tell me until just a week before the cameras arrived. "It's only for a few segments," he said calmly. "If you'd rather not be on camera, we can find somewhere else for you to stay while the shoot happens." I was lounging on our bed, my dark hair spilling across the sheets, the pale curve of my shoulder catching the morning light. "No need," I murmured. "Too much trouble to move." After 3 years of marriage, the estate had become my sanctuary. Packing up, even temporarily, felt like far too much effort. The morning filming began. I drifted down the stairs, still half asleep, my eyes heavy with fatigue. Rich had already made it clear to the crew, no filming me without my consent. The ground floor was alive with activity. Serafina stood in the middle, radiating confidence, flanked by her entourage. She had already assumed the role of the manners lady. Spotting me on the staircase, she beamed and addressed the housekeeper with a flourish. "Mrs. Gable, could you prepare breakfast for my sister-in-law as well?" Mrs. Gable hesitated, looking to me for confirmation. I yawned softly and nodded, prompting her to signal the kitchen staff. Leo was already seated at the dining table. "Morning, Nora," he greeted cheerfully. "Morning," I mumbled, blinking against the fog of sleep. "Rich left for the office already?" he asked. "HM? Probably," I replied, uncertain. Rich was up with the sun, unshakable in his routine. Even a week apart and a night of passionate reunion hadn't thrown him off. That was Rich Blackwood for you. As heir to the Blackwood fortune, he was the epitome of discipline. Every action was measured, every gesture controlled. Even our intimacy followed an unspoken rhythm, precise and deliberate. While waiting for breakfast, Serafina glided over and sat beside me, linking her arm through mine with a practiced, camera-ready smile. "This is Nora's first time on camera, so she might be a little shy," she cooed to the lens. "Be kind to her, my wonderful fans." Turning to me, her smile never faltered. "Don't worry, Nora. My followers are lovely. They'll treat you gently." And just like that, camera-ready or not, I was on television. Serafina kept an eye on the live chat, her lips curved in a sweet, rehearsed smile as she answered selective questions. "You think Nora looks familiar? Maybe it's because she has one of those classic, relatable faces. Curious about her age?"
"Sure."
That's not polite, but the audience remained riveted on me. Serafina tried to reclaim the spotlight, but the chat was ablaze. "So that's Leo's sister-in-law? The CEO's wife. She looks familiar. I swear I've seen her somewhere before. Is she trying to get famous off Sarah's attention?" "Sarah is too kind, letting her steal the show. I'm only here for Serafina. She's gorgeous." Meanwhile, I was somewhere far away, exhausted. Rich had returned from a week-long trip, and his energy from the night before, trying to make up for lost time, had left me drained. After breakfast, Leo retreated to the study, leaving me open to Serafina's enthusiasm. She dragged me onto the sofa, flipping through bridal catalogs to pick her wedding dress. She and Leo were engaged, their wedding approaching fast. "Nora, what do you think of this one? Isn't it divine?" I glanced from her radiant face to the glossy pages. "It's beautiful. And this one? Also beautiful." She flipped a page casually. "I heard you and Rich never had a wedding ceremony." I crunched my apple loudly, then replied, "We didn't." Serafina gasped theatrically, hand to her lips. "Rich wouldn't even give you a wedding?" I shook my head. I was the one who didn't want it. Our marriage had been a strategic arrangement between two influential families, a merger, not a romance. Before signing the papers, he'd asked me, "Do you want a church or beach ceremony?" At the time, I thought a wedding with a stranger was absurd. "Let's skip it," I said simply, and he agreed after a long, unreadable pause. Whenever asked, Rich claimed it was his choice, not to burden me with gossip or judgment. Serafina, lost in her own narrative, ignored my explanation. "Every woman dreams of a perfect wedding," she sighed. "How could Rich deny you that?" I stayed silent. It wasn't worth correcting her. "Leo promised me the wedding of the century," she continued, part boast, part complaint. I tried to tell him not to be extravagant, but he insisted. "He wants me to have no regrets marrying him." She waved dramatically at the gowns. "But all these dresses. I'm overwhelmed." Her online fans adored the performance. "Leo spoils her so much. She's the luckiest woman alive. This is why I watch. Sarah and Leo are too sweet. Look at Nora. She looks so sour." Can't blame her. Her marriage is purely business. Rich probably refused the wedding. Serafina nudged the catalog toward me. "Why don't you pick one for me?" I flipped through casually and pointed. "This one's elegant." She dismissed it with a glance. "The waistline doesn't flatter me." She shut the book. "Never mind. Leo will help me later. His taste is impeccable." After the wedding dresses came the rings. "Nora, didn't Rich get you a proper wedding ring?" Serafina asked, eyes fixed on my left hand. On my finger rested a simple, unadorned band. The sigil etched into it looked almost trivial, like a cheap trinket. "He did," I said, glancing down. The day we signed our marriage license, I had found 2 boxes on the nightstand. One held an enormous, dazzling diamond, the other this simple band. Rich had asked me which I preferred. The diamond was impractical. I'd chosen the small, modest band without much thought. "That's it?" From a corner store, she laughed a little too loudly, sticking out her tongue for the camera. Then she held up her own hand, the massive diamond on her fingers sparkling brilliantly. "I told Leo not to go overboard. A diamond this size is heavy and inconvenient." But he wouldn't listen. She sighed theatrically. "And now he says I need a wedding ring even bigger than this one. Nora, you have to help me pick." I shrugged and began flipping through the catalog. Just then, Leo emerged from the study, wrapping his arms around Serafina and planting a kiss on her cheek. "How's the ring shopping going, love?" he asked. Serafina blushed prettily. "Just browsing with Nora." Then, shifting gears, she jabbed at me. "Leo's brother really let you down, didn't he? Couldn't even buy you a proper ring." She expected immediate agreement. Instead, Leo glanced at my hand, a faint, knowing smile appearing. "Sarah, don't underestimate that ring," he said softly. "It's not just any jewelry. It's the Blackwood family signet, the matriarch's mark. Anyone who sees it sees my brother, and by extension, the weight of the family itself." She could walk anywhere and command respect. Serafina's smile faltered. For the first time, she looked genuinely stunned, eyes flicking to my hand with a mix of disbelief and longing. I froze. That simple, unremarkable band held all that power? Why hadn't Rich told me? I'd worn it casually, unaware of its significance. The online audience erupted. "That ring is the Blackwood crest." Rich didn't just care, he gave her ultimate power. Wow, Sarah is in for a surprise. Serafina seethed with envy, and it took Leo nudging her. "Sarah, what's wrong?" Before she tore her gaze away and returned to ring shopping elsewhere. That evening, I found Rich in his study. He'd returned late, but wasn't buried in work. Instead, he was watching footage from our reality show on his tablet. "Come here," he said, patting his lap. I settled onto him silently as he wrapped an arm around my waist, a familiar, comfortable routine. Our first year of marriage had been distant. He traveled constantly, I was focused on my work, and we rarely saw each other. Then came New Year's Eve. I had been watching the countdown on TV when I heard a sound in the foyer. Rich was there, in a long black coat, suitcase at his feet. Unexpected, despite his mother saying he'd be away. I instinctively took his coat, hung it up, and froze. He looked just as surprised. From that moment, something changed. Rich slowed his pace, stopped living out of a suitcase, and we gradually fell into the steady rhythm of married life. Sitting on his lap now felt as natural as breathing. "You never told me this ring was so important," I murmured, holding the simple band to the lamp's soft light. "It was never important on its own," he said, taking my hand and sliding it back onto my finger. "It's only important because it's yours." To show their support for their future daughter-in-law, Rich's parents returned to the estate for a family dinner. Cameras were everywhere, so they were slightly stiff, but tried to act naturally. Rich arrived home on time for once. As he removed his shoes, the crew panned briefly across him, just enough to send the online audience into a frenzy. Is that Rich? Legendary. He's gorgeous. Even more powerful than Leo. Nora's life is perfect with a husband like that. At the dinner table, Serafina played the charming fiancé, keeping the atmosphere pleasant. Rich's mother, noticing my constant yawning, glanced at my stomach. Any news from you two? She asked pointedly. Classic wealthy family air pressure moment. His mom doesn't like Nora. First question, baby. I shot Rich a sly look. You'll have to ask him. Rich met my gaze calmly. We're planning 2 in 3 years, he announced. Under the table, I pinched his thigh, incredulous. Didn't we agree I'd decide when to have children? His warm palm captured mine. I tried to pull away, but he held firm, a teasing glint in his eyes. His mother observed our silent flirtation, then slid a gold credit card toward me. Nora, take this and buy something nice. If it's not enough, ask for more. I pocketed it cheerfully, adding another carrot to my plate in mock compliance. Rich calmly added another serving. I pouted and pushed it aside, amused. Love this mother-in-law. Throw money at the problem. Problem solved. Starting to ship Nora and Rich. Corner of the frame moments. So relatable. After dinner, my in-laws departed for another engagement, and the Blackwood brothers retreated to the study for business. That left Serafina and me alone downstairs. I was about to head to my room when she caught my arm. As the face of a major luxury brand, Serafina had been expected to make a large donation at a recent charity fundraiser. But she clearly didn't want to be the only one contributing substantially. Over a post-dinner pastry, she broached the subject casually. Nora, would you consider donating as well? I listened as she explained the project, discreetly messaging my assistant to confirm the charity's legitimacy. Seeing me hesitate, she pressed on. It's fine if you'd rather not, she said softly. But those children in the mountains, they lack food, warmth. Even a small donation can help. Her tone shifted slightly. Some celebrities pledged 50,000. I was thinking of giving 100. I interrupted, calm and deliberate. I'll donate 1 million. Have my assistant put it under my mother-in-law's name. By the way, how much did you say you were donating? Serafina froze. The idea of $1 million was staggering, and on live broadcast, retreat was not an option. She ground her teeth, but her expression remained serene. Well, if Nora is giving so generously, I can't be left behind. I'll match it, 1 million, in my future mother-in-law's name. She glanced at me, momentarily flustered. I was just having my assistant verify the project, I explained, taking a bite of my apple. I want to ensure every penny goes directly to the children. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Serafina forced a tight laugh. Right, of course. You're always so meticulous, Nora. The online reaction was instantaneous. Sarah is amazing. 1 million. That's incredible. Wait, wasn't she planning only 100,000? The rich really treat money like pocket change. Nora is smart. Checking the charity ensures the funds do real good. She even has someone supervising the project. That's thoughtful. Defeated, Serafina went upstairs to find Leo. I, meanwhile, decided to take a walk around the grounds to aid digestion. Moments later, Rich appeared in the courtyard. His large, warm hand found mine, fingers intertwining, and we walked slowly through the gardens. The moment he approached, my energy seemed to drain. I leaned against him, letting him support me. Then I stopped. What is it? He asked. I lifted my arms. Carry me. A small, helpless smile touched his lips. He crouched, letting me hop onto his back. I expected a stumble, but he carried me effortlessly. I chatted playfully as he walked, his voice low and steady in response. Unknown to us, the courtyard had cameras installed, and our quiet, private moment was streaming live. Everyone watch. Gold alert. Rich really cares about Nora. Look at him carrying her. This is the kind of love I want. Steady, strong, deep. Petition for a Rich and Nora reality show. I need more. After our stroll, we returned to the living room. Serafina and Leo sat at the grand piano, tension thick between them. Nora, can you help us? Leo called. Sarah insists she's playing perfectly, but I can't get it right. Serafina shot him a glare. The show required each couple to perform a talent. She and Leo had chosen a piano duet, which she had secretly been practicing for 3 months. Leo, Nora's never played, Serafina snapped. How could she know if it's right? I've practiced 10 days straight, she added defensively. The audience immediately defended her online. Sarah is incredible. 10 days, and she plays like that. Leo can't even play. Why is he criticizing? I stepped closer. Play it again for me. Leo nodded. Sarah, one more run. Nora can guide us. Reluctantly, Serafina complied. When they finished, I pointed out some misplayed notes. This piece is advanced for a beginner, I said gently. Maybe try something simpler. Leo trusted my advice. After Rich and I went upstairs, he whispered to Serafina, Sarah, perhaps an easier piece would help. Her frustration erupted. Leo, whose side are you on? Mine or hers? She's never touched a piano. Why change plans for her? Leo looked shocked. Didn't I tell you? Nora is a world-class pianist. She taught me everything I know when I wanted to impress you. Right now, I'm probably better than my brother. Serafina paled, humiliated. The live chat erupted. That's why she seemed familiar. She won the International Chopin Piano Competition. First prize. She's not an ordinary trophy wife. You really can't judge a book by its cover. That night, Serafina seethed as she scrolled through the live comments, her irritation mounting. She pulled Leo into their room, away from the cameras. Leo, she said bluntly, can you ask your sister-in-law to leave for a while? Leo blinked in confusion. Why would I do that? What's going on? Serafina's frustration spilled out. Whose show is this? Ours or theirs? Every episode, they steal the spotlight. It's not a competition, Leo replied calmly. We're family. But this is supposed to be my moment, she cried, her voice breaking. Filming at the Blackwood estate was meant to cement her status, to show she had the family's approval. Instead, Rich and Nora were quietly captivating the audience. Their subtle, genuine interactions were trending more than her and Leo's carefully staged displays. Leo finally lost patience. I told you we should have filmed at our own house, but you insisted on coming here. I spent a month convincing my brother. And now you want me to kick them out? She sobbed, the first real fight of the filming season. Eventually, as always, Leo gave in. A few days later, he found me, hesitant and awkward. I was busy planning a trip on my iPad. I'm leaving with Miles and the others. Say what you need to say. Miles, my childhood best friend, had organized a road trip across the Western Plains with our longtime group. You're going on a trip? Leo's eyes lit up. For 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, I said casually, already packed. I patted his shoulder with a practiced air of authority. You two need to talk it out properly. Don't do anything rash. Leo nodded, clearly grateful. Just as I reached the door, I added, Oh, and your brother's flight hasn't landed yet. When he gets back, tell him I'm gone. Leo simply stared. That evening, Rich returned from his trip only to learn that his wife had left for an adventure without informing him. He was not amused. With me absent, Serafina went into overdrive, flaunting her and Leo's perfect romance for the cameras. Their ratings soared. Meanwhile, I was having the time of my life. I traveled with Miles and our friends in a convoy of off-road vehicles, carving paths through desert landscapes and endless plains. During a roadside break, Rich video called me. I flipped the camera excitedly to show the breathtaking view. Rich, look at this, I exclaimed. He was in his office, sharp and composed, his eyes scanning the scene on my screen. Even on a small display, his features were striking. When will you be back? He asked, his voice calm, precise, and commanding. That same discipline and focus I had always admired. It made him seem untouchable. I sat cross-legged on the sandy ground. We're heading north. How many more days, Miles? Miles glanced up from the car engine. About a week. I relayed the info. Rich was quiet for a long moment. Just then, Miles handed me a handful of local dates. Try one, they're really sweet. I took one, finishing Rich's earlier question. This trip was his idea. I haven't gotten away in ages, so I tagged along. The pause between us stretched, and a pang of guilt hit me. In 3 years of marriage, Rich and I had never gone on a honeymoon. I realized I'd completely forgotten, distracted by life and work. Hurry up, Miles called. We're leaving. Coming, I said, brushing off dust as I opened the car door. Then Rich's voice reached me, soft but deliberate. One single word. Honey. I froze. In public, he had never once used that word with me. Outside our private moments, I was always Mrs. Blackwood. Everyone in the car glanced my way. I tried to play it cool. What is it? I asked, nervously smiling at the phone. His expression remained calm. Be safe. Come home soon. During my trip, I occasionally posted photos online and the comment sections exploded. Nora, when are you coming back? We need a dose of you and Rich. Watching Serafina's staged romance is exhausting without you. Her and her fiancé feel so manufactured. The real chemistry is Nora and Rich. Sigh, with Nora away, Rich barely shows up anywhere. Fans were even tagging the show's producers, begging for my return. I read through the messages, amused but unfazed, then went back to enjoying my vacation. After 2 blissful weeks, I returned home, refreshed and content. Miles dropped me off at the Blackwood estate, and to my surprise, Rich was already waiting. Casual clothes, hands in pockets, relaxed and composed. He took my suitcase and wrapped an arm around my waist. Thank you for bringing my wife home, he said to Miles. Miles, who barely knew Rich, nodded. Of course. Once he left, Rich led me up the driveway, one hand still around me. What are you doing out here waiting? I asked. He set the suitcase down, leaned in, and kissed me. Do I need a reason to welcome my own wife home? I realized the cameras were there, the blinking red light in the corner recording everything. I had noticed them before, when fan-made clips of us had appeared online. There's a camera, I whispered, pointing. Rich glanced, then back at me, unfazed. It's fine, he said simply. We're married. Something about him felt different, more confident, a little bolder. The usually reserved Rich had just kissed me openly outside, in view of the cameras. My return sent the online community into a frenzy. She's back. The queen has returned. Rich's charisma is unreal, even in a t-shirt. Did you see that possessive little move? I'm dying. We need more of them. Showrunners, listen to us. He initiated the kiss. Anyone who doubts Rich's love for Nora is dead wrong. Fans eagerly awaited more intimate moments between us. Yet, we began avoiding the cameras. Rich resumed his long work hours, leaving early and returning late, while I focused on my own company. Serafina grew increasingly anxious. At first, her and Leo's stage sweetness had boosted ratings. But the novelty faded and viewers clamored for Rich and me to return. Her popularity and plans began to unravel. Desperate, she attempted to coax Leo into persuading me to appear on camera again. This time he snapped. What is wrong with you? He demanded, furious. Is Nora your personal servant to summon whenever you please? My brother doesn't intervene because Nora doesn't care, not because he's blind. Serafina stiffened. What did I do wrong? I'm just trying to get ratings. Leo's voice rose. We have everything we need. Who cares about ratings? And if the only way to get them is to force Nora into the spotlight, maybe we shouldn't be filming this at all. Serafina's hidden frustrations finally erupted. Leo, why can't you be more ambitious? Why does Rich inherit everything while you live on an allowance? You're a failure. This empire is in front of you, and you won't fight for it. Do you expect me to live a second-rate life? Always second best. Leo's eyes turned red. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him, leaving her alone with her fury. I was having dinner with Rich when the news broke. Leo and Serafina had a major falling out and pulled out of filming the final episode. Leo also insisted that all cameras be removed from the Blackwood estate. The news spread instantly, sparking wild speculation online. At the height of the frenzy, Serafina posted a cryptic message on social media. Beautiful love is fragile. It bursts at the slightest touch. No one understands me. I've become the villain. She deleted it quickly, but the damage was done. Fans, convinced she'd been wronged, swarmed the Blackwood Corporation's pages and Leo's personal accounts, leaving torrents of angry messages. Some even appeared on my profile. Rich pulled Leo, who had secluded himself in his room for days, into the study. After a long 2-hour conversation, the family acted decisively. Negative trends were erased, evidence compiled, and defamation lawsuits filed. The narrative was brought under control. The backlash shifted swiftly. An anonymous user revealed one of Serafina's private alternate accounts, exposing posts where she had mocked me, calling me a fake, questioning my marriage, and deriding my family connections. The online community turned on her, bombarding her social media with the same intensity she had used against me. Overnight, Her carefully curated public image crumbled. Unable to handle the fallout, Serafina announced her retirement from acting and disappeared from the public eye. Leo was devastated. He had genuinely loved her, but in the end, he realized he had been attached to someone selfish and materialistic. Rich, unwilling to see his brother wallow, threw him into a major company project and filled his work calendar for the next 3 months. Leo was horrified. He had no ambition and preferred a life of leisure. Once Leo was competent enough to manage his responsibilities, Rich took a long, surprise vacation. One morning, while I was still half asleep, he picked me up, carried me to the car, and we headed straight to the airport. By the time I was fully awake, we were already airborne. "Rich, where are we going?" I asked, still drowsy. He draped a blanket over me. "You'll see soon enough." Hours later, we landed in Iceland, a land of raw, breathtaking beauty. Memories from my teenage years came rushing back. Dreams of the North Atlantic, long afternoons spent poring over travel magazines and romance comics with friends. And now, there I was, atop snow-capped mountains, under an endless sky, with him beside me. The world was vast, the ocean roaring below, the stars stretching infinitely above. His presence was overwhelming, intoxicating. Watching him let go of his careful control, surrendering to desire and love, was mesmerizing. He surrounded me completely. Our heartbeats merged with the rhythm of the universe, our souls perfectly aligned. Rich's perspective. For 30 years, Rich Blackwood had been the epitome of the perfect heir, disciplined, rigid, and utterly unremarkable. Then Eleonora entered his life, scribbling color and warmth into the margins of his otherwise monochrome existence. He had assumed marriage would be dull. But that New Year's Eve, one small gesture changed everything. Her bright, clear eyes reached him, quietly and irrevocably taking root in his heart. Over time, they grew into a balanced, harmonious couple, admired by all. The first pang of real jealousy struck when he learned she had gone on a trip with Miles, her childhood friend. He realized he had not been present enough. Wishes, experiences, adventures, these were things he should share with her, as her husband, not another man. The jealousy burned, unrelenting. Alone in his study that night, images of her filled his mind. Sleep was elusive, and longing became a physical ache. When she returned home, he couldn't contain himself. Waiting at the estate gate, he was the anxious husband, eagerly anticipating his wife's arrival, ready to make up for every moment missed.